itu আমার ওখান থেকে মাইক্রোমন্ডল
Okay. So thank you for joining us. Before we begin, I just want to remind you that you can kindly put your name, the city from which you're joining, and your phone number in the chat window. That will be very helpful for us to track your attendance. I hope all of you have done quiz on chapter 1. We posted the quiz link for chapter 1. Did all of you complete the quiz on chapter 1? Did anybody try it out? Not yet? Did you see the link that was posted today?
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Very good. Okay. So yes, please just take a few seconds. Please put your name, your phone number, and the city from which you're joining. That will help me track your attendance. And also help us get the name correctly when we issue the certificate after the 18-day session. Yeah? Okay, so today we'll begin with just a quick view of chapter 1, and also in addition to that, I want to cover some pastimes which I could not do yesterday. So before we begin, we will do the Mangala Charan. Om Ajnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namni Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschyata Veshatayini Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gauravakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yadkripata Muhammande Shri Gurum Vinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Yes. Okay, so I'm going to begin with a question. Yesterday we mentioned that 64,000 crore people lost their lives on the battlefield. So that is 640 million who lost their life. They said that 8 people survived the war. Just 8. Do you think it's right to kill 64 crore people so that Yudhishthir could be a king? What do you think? Do you think it is right for 64 crore soldiers to die on the battlefield so that Yudhishthir could become the king? What do you think?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
If Yudhishthir will not become the king, then there will be more adharma.
There will be more adharma. Okay. Very nice. Yes, Pradeep Prabhu, you had a...
Hare Krishna Mataji. Yes, so to kill the adharma and to become the righteous king, maybe he was right to kill 64,000.
So I was reading a little bit of history. So after the battle was won, it is said that Yudhishthir ruled for 26 years before he handed over the kingdom to Parikshit Maharaj, and the Pandavas then retired. So Yes, sometimes to protect dharma, you have to possibly engage in some really ghastly acts that you really don't want to do, but then, circumstances may force you to do that. So, what is the reason that we are actually reading the Bhagavad Gita? We said yesterday, like a doctor's prescription, where the doctor tells you the do's and the don'ts. If you have to take these kind of medications, these medicines before food, these medicines after food. What are the food restrictions? How frequently you should take the medicines, 2 times a day, 3 times a day, for how long, for a week, for 2 weeks, for a month. So many instructions the doctor gives you. And we also agree that the reason that we visit the doctor is because we want a cure for whatever illness it is that we are facing. So similarly, we all also agreed that the Bhagavad Gita is like the doctor's prescription. All of us are suffering. There is not a single person anywhere in this Brahmanda who's not suffering. You could say, Mukesh Ambani is also suffering. Life is not easy even for the richest of wealthiest people. They have their own set of concerns, Once you acquire a lot of wealth, then you have to figure out how you're going to protect it. And that is constantly on your mind. How am I going to protect the wealth? And therefore, that is a concern. You are in distress, anxiety to protect that wealth. So the reason we read the Bhagavad Gita every day is really to wash ourselves, to give ourselves the opportunity to purify our mind. There is this wonderful, I'm sharing my screen, I hope you can see it. This is called the Bhagavad Gita Mahatmya. It is about the glories of the Bhagavad Gita as encapsulated and written here by Adi Shankaracharya. Elsewhere, if you read it, it says that it is actually Lord Shiva who's glorifying the Bhagavad Gita when he's speaking to Parvati Devi. But here are some lovely verses. I'm not going to read all the verses. Let me just increase the screen size for better visibility. So we'll come to the third shloka. In the third shloka, Shripadadi Shankaracharya writes, Maline mochanam pumsam jalasnanam dine dine sakrit gitamritasnanam samsara malanashanam. This particular shloka, the translation is, one may cleanse himself daily by taking a bath in water, but if one takes a bath even once in the sacred Ganges water of Bhagavad Gita, for him the dirt of material life is altogether vanquished. So there are 2 types of cleaning that is happening. If you take a bath in the Ganges water, what type of cleaning is happening? What happens? What is the reason we go all the way to Ganga to go take a bath, take a dip? Why?
Hare Krishna Mataji, may I answer?
Yes, please. What's your name, please?
My name is in the screen is Aranya Shom, but my actual name is Aishwarya Roy. Today I have mentioned my name, contact details in the chat. You may see it, Mataji.
Very good. Thank you.
Yes, Mataji. So the answer is whenever we take dip to Ganga, then our physical cleansing as well as spiritual cleansing happens.
Okay.
That is why we travel a long distance to take a dip into the Ganga.
So when you say spiritual cleansing, what do you mean by that?
Spiritual cleansing means, Mataji, in our daily activities, our body produces sweat and dirt. And in the similar manner, our mental activity, our mind is also working and it is accumulating filth and dirt. Whenever we study scriptures like Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam or do the Hare Krishna chanting, it cleanses. It cleanses the dirt and filth of our mind.
Very nice. So this mala nashanam, mala means dirt. In this particular third verse, Sripad Shankaracharya is using the word mala mochanam pumsam. The word mala means dirt. So just like if you take a bath in the Ganges water, not only is your body getting cleansed, but all of your sins are wiped away. Similarly, if you read the Bhagavad Gita every day, Sripadadi Shankaracharya says that reading the Bhagavad Gita is like the Ganges water for not just the mind, it is all of the dirt that has accumulated over many, many lifetimes. All of that dirt that is accumulated over many lifetimes, many births that we've had, all of it just simply gets vanquished. That's what Sripadadi Shankaracharya is saying. There is one more verse that I really like. We can go to the last one. This is text number 7 in that same set of verses. You can just search for Gita Mahatmya and you will find this. You can read every verse in the translation. On the importance of reading, studying the Bhagavad Gita on a daily basis. So here, in the 7th verse, Sripad Shankaracharya is saying, Ekam Shastram Devaki Putra Gitam, Eko Devo Devaki Putra Eva, Eko Mantrastasya Namani Yani, Karmya Pekam Tasya Devasya Seva. This particular verse translates as, there need be only one holy scripture, the divine Gita sung by Lord Shri Krishna. Only one worshipable Lord, Lord Shri Krishna. Only one mantra, which is the holy names of the Lord. And only one duty that we have. And that duty is to perform devotional service unto the supreme worshipable Lord Shri Krishna. So he's concluding, Sripad Shankaracharya is concluding by saying that if we have to select one scripture that we should all study on a daily basis, that scripture is called the Bhagavad Gita. If we have to worship just one Lord, that Lord that we should worship is Lord Shri Krishna. If there is any one mantra we should always prioritize chanting, it should be that mantra that are glorifying the names of Lord Shri Krishna. And if at all we have one duty that we have to prioritize, that duty is going to be bhakti, worshipping and serving Lord Krishna. So in the last shloka, Sripad Shankaracharya is prioritizing everything and anything to do with Lord Krishna. So we all know that Lord Shankaracharya is considered to be an incarnation of whom?
Lord Shiva.
Lord Shiva, yes. So what is Sripad Shankaracharya saying here? Who is he advising that we should prioritize for worship? Who should we prioritize in our worship?
Mataji, it is Lord Shri Krishna, Devaki Putram Shri Krishna.
Krishna. Okay. Which book should we prioritize studying?
Srimad Bhagavad Gita.
Okay. Which holy name should we prioritize chanting?
Hare Krishna, or any mantra that contains the name of the Lord.
That glorifies the Lord. And if we had to prioritize one duty, what would that duty be?
Worship Krishna.
Yes, worshipping Krishna. So imagine doing bhakti yoga is considered a duty. A seva, something that we do of our own free will. Yes. So here, there are two types of amrita. One that you have in the temple that washes the Archa Vigraha form of the Lord, that is called Charanamrita. So when you go to the temple, you'll take a sip of that Charanamrita. It's called Charanamrita because every day the Archa Vigraha form of the Lord in the temple is bathed with milk, yogurt, ghee, honey, and we taste that. It is said that even just taking a small sip of the Charanamrita can wipe out so many sins from your lifetimes. The other one is called Kathamrita. What does Kathamrita mean? One is Charanamrita. What does Kathamrita mean?
Hare Krishna, Maharaj-ji.
Yes, Shravana.
Listening to Lord's glories every day.
Huh?
Listening to Lord's glories every day.
Yeah,
Kathamrita.
listening to the Lord's glories every day. So that is Kathamrita. So this is also what we are doing here is also Kathamrita. So Deepika is right. Shravanam is the right answer. So there is two types of amritas that we can get. One is drinking and honoring that which has touched the body and the lotus feet of the Lord. And the other is actually hearing from Sri Krishna, and also hearing Harikatha also cleanses our impurities in our hearts. So yesterday we were talking about some nice pastimes I mentioned, but we didn't get into the pastimes yesterday, but we'll do that quickly, although today's chapter is a lengthy chapter. So we said yesterday's chapter all had to do with Arjuna's lamentation. And the single word summary, if you noticed on the poster, it said lamentation. So we talked about how there are signs of victory for the Pandavas, and that those signs are coming up in the very first chapter itself. So how do we know? There were some references to the father of Dharma being on the battlefield, that the Lakshmi Devi is always there wherever Krishna is there, wherever Narayana is there, she's always there. Then we talked about the flag on top of the chariot. Who's on top of the chariot on that flag?
Hanuman.
Hanuman, yes. So we talked about Hanuman. We'll come to that pastime. We also said that Agnidev had given his chariot as a gift to Arjuna. We will talk about that pastime also. And do you think it is possible for anybody to fight with someone if you're not angry? What do you think? Does fighting require anger or not?
Yes, Mataji.
It requires anger, right? If you're peaceful, calm, will you be in the mood to fight somebody?
No,
No,
Mataji.
Maharaj-ji.
It's not possible.
No.
Right? Okay. So, in one of the shlokas, Duryodhana is actually criticizing his guru, Dronacharya, for having taught Drishtadyumna the art of warfare. Drishtadyumna is actually on the Pandavas side. And Drishtadyumna is the son of Drupada. And Drupada and Dronacharya went to Gurukul together when they were young. And when you're young, you may have some very innocent conversations and you may make some innocent promises also. So Drupada very gallantly told Dronacharya. Dronacharya is a Brahmana. Drupada is a Kshatriya. So Dronacharya comes from very, very humble background, not much wealth, actually almost no wealth, you could say. So Drupada promises Dronacharya, we are such good friends. When I grow up, you can have half my kingdom. I promise you, I will give you 50% of my kingdom. Now, Dronacharya is not interested in the kingdom. He is a Brahmana. Of course, he also has learned the art of warfare and he becomes the teacher of the Kauravas and the Pandavas. So one doubt that Duryodhana had is, between the Pandavas and the Kauravas, who was Dronacharya's favorite student?
Arjuna.
Arjuna. Now, Duryodhana is a great politician. He was thinking, I'm not sure if I can even trust my own teacher. His favorite student is on the other side. I'm not sure if he'll be as aggressive as he needs to be on the battlefield. And therefore, to instigate some anger in Dronacharya, he reminds him of how he was foolish enough in Duryodhana's mind, foolish enough to actually train the one person that's going to be the cause of Dronacharya's death, and that is Drishtadyumna. So the story goes this way. When Dronacharya had his son Ashwatthama, and Ashwatthama went to school, he was teased very badly by the other children for not even knowing what was milk. They did not even have, usually Brahmanas are supposed to have at least 1 or 2 cows for their subsistence. In this case, it happened that Dronacharya did not even have a cow. So that when the children were teasing Ashwatthama, that he was so poor, he did not even know what was milk. So at that time, Dronacharya thought, why don't I go visit my good friend, Drupada? Maybe he can help me. Now, he wasn't thinking I'll go and take 50% of the kingdom. He was only thinking I'll go as a friend, and maybe being a king is supposed to give in charity to Brahmanas. Maybe he could offer some help without even being asked. So Dronacharya goes to visit Drupada, and Drupada is very harsh with him. Dronacharya, remember what we discussed as friends. I've come here as your friend. I hope you remember me. And Drupada says, how can you even dare to call me your friend? We are on different platforms altogether. I am a Kshatriya. I am wealthy. I am a king. You are just a lowly Brahmana. And so Drupada says, get out of my palace. Dronacharya is obviously very insulted. Normally, Brahmanas are supposed to stay calm. Even if you are insulted, you stay calm and not, respond to the insults. That's Brahmanical quality. But anyway, some Leela was supposed to take place, and there are reasons for everything that happens. So Dronacharya gets very upset. So when he comes back, he tells the Kauravas what happened. And immediately Duryodhana says, you know what, we'll go fight him, we'll defeat him, and we'll bring him to you to make amends for the insult that you had to suffer at the hands of Drupada. So anytime there is a rule in Shastra that says, when your teacher is insulted, the students have to be ready to defend their teacher and fight for their teacher's glory. Therefore, the students rightfully decided, okay, we have to go fight Drupada because he has insulted our teacher. How dare he insult our teacher? Our teacher is not an ordinary person. So unfortunately, Duryodhana and his brothers get defeated by Drupada. So they come back empty-handed. So now the Pandavas take a shot at bringing Drupada. So Arjuna promises, don't worry, I will tie him up and, throw him at your feet. That much I will guarantee you. So the Pandavas go battle Drupada and his army, and sure enough, they defeat him, and they bring Drupada, a king, tied up and put in front of Dronacharya. And Dronacharya said, well, this is for the insult that you heaped on me. So I will take 50% of your kingdom. You could have just given me a cow and I would have been happy. But since you abused me, I'm going to take 50% of your kingdom. So Dronacharya actually takes 50% of the kingdom and gives it to Ashwatthama to rule. Now, of course, one insult cannot go unpaid, right? So one insult leads to another insult. So now Drupada was feeling insulted. So he vowed, he already had other sons and daughters. He vowed to conduct a fire sacrifice. And from that fire sacrifice came two personalities. One is Drishtadyumna and one is Draupadi. And the vow was that the son that arises from this yajna would actually end up killing Dronacharya. Even though Dronacharya was aware that the son of Drupada would be the cause of his death, he did not refuse when Drupada approached him and said, "Teach my son the art of warfare." So essentially, Duryodhana is pointing out what a phenomenal mistake that Dronacharya had made. He knew that the son of Drupada would be the cause of his death, and yet he consented to teach the art of warfare. Therefore, to instigate some anger in Dronacharya, Duryodhana reminds him of the mistake that he had made. He says, "Look at your wonderful student on the other side. He is the commander-in-chief of the Pandavas, and you trained him like that." Then the reason why Kapidwaja, why Hanuman is there on top of the flag, on top of the chariot of Arjuna is as follows. So during Vanavas, Arjuna was told by Yudhishthir, you have to go get some celestial weapons. So Arjuna had actually gone to the heavenly planets to get some celestial weapons. And while he was gone, the rest of the Pandavas were actually in Badrikashram. And one day, Draupadi sees a 1,000-petaled lotus in the Alkananda river. And she asks Bhima to go fetch the lotus and also asks him to get some more of such flowers, the lotus flowers. So Bhima, ever ready to please his wife, Draupadi, he goes around looking for some of those flowers, and in the process, he comes across a very old monkey lying on the path. And Bhima very politely says, "Can you move? Because I'm in a hurry." And the monkey does not respond. Then Bhima raises his voice and he says, "You better move or else." At which the monkey was very tired, old, and the monkey said, it will not take you too much time for you to just move a bit of my tail, and that will create enough of a pathway for you. Because it is said you should not cross over somebody else's body. It's considered ashubh to cross over somebody's body. So when Bhima tried to move that old monkey's tail, he could not move it even an inch, no matter how much he tried. Then he understood, okay, this is not an ordinary personality. At that time, that personality introduces himself as, who's this personality?
Hanuman.
Hanuman. They are both Vayuputra, right? So they embraced each other. And then Bhima tells Hanuman, you are my older brother. You need to come and support us in this war. This is this unholy war that is taking place. To which Hanuman said, how can I do that? I am from Treta Yuga. Look at my size. It would not be right for me to come and fight on the battlefield. So Hanuman said, but I will give you moral support. I will be there, and every time you are victorious and you roar, I will roar with you. So that's what Hanuman tells Bhima, that I am there to give you that moral support. So hence, Hanuman is on the flag on top of Arjuna's chariot. As to Agni Dev, one day Agni Dev was actually consuming a forest called the Khandava forest. And at that time, a Takshaka bird was this Takshaka bird, who was a friend of Indra. He gets killed, I think. and Indra is very, very furious, and he tries to douse the forest fire with rain. At that time, Agni Dev is looking for help. He goes to Lord Brahma, and Brahma says, you know what, Krishna and Arjuna are there on the holy land. Why don't you approach them? They may be able to help you. So Agni Dev approaches Arjuna, and Krishna says, yes, help him out. And so Arjuna helps Agni Dev consume the Khandava forest. And in response and in reward, Agni Dev actually gives this very special chariot on which Krishna becomes the charioteer. And that is why Agni Dev is also referenced. So this Kapidwaja, Agni Dev, these are all indications that the Pandavas are going to be victorious, outside of the fact that this war was being fought on a holy land called Kurukshetra. And also, the father of Dharma was there. And wherever Lakshmi Devi is there, there is going to be wealth and prosperity, because she never leaves the side of Lord Krishna or Lord Narayana. So this is the reason why there were these signs of victory that was being discussed in the first chapter itself. So now we'll look at the second chapter. So what is the title of the second chapter? Did anybody catch it?
Sankhya Yoga.
Sankhya Yoga. Okay. And what is the single word summary that was written? Yeah.
Identity, Mataji.
Identity. Yes. Thank you. So yesterday, I think someone was mentioning the reason why we're not able to be happy here is because we have this mistaken identity. So let us see today what happens in chapter 2. Now, this is one of the longer chapters. However, we've tried to condense it as much as we could to make it easy for us to consume. So today's chapter is called Sankhya Yoga. And if the first chapter single word summary was lamentation, today's chapter summary single word is identity. So in the second chapter, we said Arjuna gives one more reason why he should not fight, and which was he wasn't sure if it was the right thing to do. He wasn't sure if him getting killed was better or if him killing everybody else was better. So that was the turmoil that Arjuna was in, right? So Prabhupada gives the chapter title as Contents of the Gita Summarized. Why? Because chapter 2 is a very high-level summary of the entire Bhagavad Gita. So if you don't have time to read all 18 chapters, you can read chapter 2 and get the essence of the Gita in chapter 2 itself, broadly speaking, the various topics that are covered here. So we said Arjuna is confused. And here Arjuna is actually going to surrender to Krishna. And Krishna is going to reveal to Arjuna what are his two duties. We talked about dharma yesterday. And we said that the conflict that Arjuna is facing is Kula Dharma or Kshatriya Dharma. And we said dharma is not an easy thing to figure out. It's a very complicated thing. But Krishna is going to talk about two different sets of duties, and we'll figure out what those are. So this is the high-level summary of chapter 2. One of the questions we asked yesterday is, do you think we can always be happy, even in this world? And you'll get the answer in today's chapter. How can you always be happy? Krishna will tell Arjuna, there is one way you can be happy, even though this world is full of suffering. How can you still manage to be happy? That's the question. So before we begin, let's chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra 3 times. So everybody can unmute and we can all chant together, because this is one sankalpa we took, right? That we will chant this mantra Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
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 Hare,
Ram Hare
Ram
Ram
Hare Ram,
Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna
Krishna
Hare
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 Hare,
Hare Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Ram
Ram Ram,
Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
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 Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Hare Ram Ram
Ram,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare.
Ram Ram.
So let's now see how this chapter flows. So we'll begin with the first shloka. This is Arjuna being thoroughly confused. He doesn't know what to do. And therefore he's reaching out for help. In this particular shloka, Arjuna is saying, Karpanya dosho pahata svabhavaha prachami tvam dharma sammudha cheta yachreyasya nischitam bruhitan me shishyasteham shadhimam tvam prapannam. What does this shloka really mean? Arjuna is despondent. He's lamenting. He's saying, hey Krishna, now I'm confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of miserly weakness. What is Arjuna acknowledging here? He's saying, Krishna, I actually don't know how I've become so weak. I'm known as one of the greatest warriors of all times. But how suddenly I just don't want to fight? I'm not quite sure how this happened. In this condition, so Arjuna is saying, in this feeling of weakness, feeling despondent, feeling unsure, I am asking you to tell me for certain what is best for me. So Arjuna is saying, you are, as somebody rightly said, Krishna is the guide, philosopher, friend, and that's why Arjuna selects him. He doesn't want the Narayani Sena. So now Arjuna is saying, you tell me for certain what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. So I have a question. So it's coming in the form of a poll. I hope I can spot it. Okay, yeah, here we go. Here's the question. What should be the mood of a student when they are learning? So
Surrender to Guru.
surrender to Guru. Very nice. There are three options that I've given in the answer section. Can you select the one that you feel is most appropriate? What should be the mood of a student while learning? So the first option is very well educated and should ask very nice questions. The second option is should not know anything but be interested in learning. The third option is students should test the teacher, check if the teacher knows what they're talking about. What should be the mood of the student? A, B, or C? Because we're going to talk about the concept of surrender. Okay. So looks like it is almost 50-50, huh? So some of you are saying they should be well educated and should ask good questions. A slightly higher percentage is saying B, should not know anything but be interested in learning. Okay. Maybe one of you has said we should.
Option B.
Huh?
Option B.
B. Okay.
I also have a different opinion on this.
Okay. What's your opinion?
So even though student may know about things,
Yes.
it is even though he's well educated, he should be eager to learn more.
Yes.
So that is what I thought, which was missing in the options. But yeah.
Yeah. So the mood and interest to learn should be there always, because the student's attitude is, I don't know anything. A good student never thinks I know everything, but still I am ready to learn. A good student always assumes the role of, I am ignorant, my dear great teacher, please teach me. That is why the wording is the way it is. It's a little bit of a trick there, right? The student's attitude should be, in order for me to learn, I have to accept the fact that I don't know anything. I may know a few things, but that's nothing compared to the vastness of knowledge that exists in the universe. So yes, the right answer is B. And that is what Arjuna is also saying. What is Arjuna's mood? He's saying, I'm weak. Arjuna is not saying, I'm a great fighter. Why has this happened to me? He's saying, look at my weakness. I feel helpless because I'm weak. So really you have to guide me, Krishna. Therefore, I'm becoming your disciple. Because without the mood of surrender, you cannot learn. Therefore, Arjuna is pleading with Krishna and saying, hey Krishna, please instruct me. So Arjuna is expressing his sincerity. At the same time, he is exhibiting that he is not flawless. He is exhibiting some signs of weakness. And most importantly, because he is in such a situation, he is ready to hear. Because if you think you know even something, you may not be paying too much attention to what the teacher is saying in class because you already think I know something. When you really believe you don't know anything, then you're listening attentively because you genuinely want to learn from your teacher. That's exactly what Arjuna is exemplifying here. So let us say, for example, we have a music teacher. A new music teacher has come to town, and there are a couple of students who want to learn music from the teacher. And one student has already learned the harmonium and wants to continue with this new teacher. Another student knows nothing about harmonium. And the teacher says to the student that is already has some knowledge on how to play the harmonium, the teacher says your fees is going to be 5,000 per month. And for the student that does not know anything about the harmonium, the teacher says your fees are going to be 3,000 per month. Why would the teacher do that? Is that fair?
To unlearn first and then learn it the right way.
So the teacher has to first help the student unlearn whatever they have learned on their own so that they can relearn. So the effort to teach a student who thinks who already has done some self-learning would be higher for a teacher than for a student who has a blank slate and has not started. So similarly, unless you have a blank slate, you cannot learn anything about spirituality. So many of us have come to this course. We may have attended other Bhagavad Gita classes, or we may have heard from others on various other scriptures. But really the mood of learning is to come to the class saying, I know nothing. Because then you have an open mind to learn. Otherwise, we have to spend more time teaching you how to unlearn what you have learned and teach you freshly what you are actually supposed to know. So therefore, even in these sessions, it may be tough for us to learn something new because we have already learned something over many, many years as to what is really spirituality, what is bhakti. So all of us have to keep an open mind. So hence the qualities of the student matter, not his qualifications. the qualities that he exhibits. So the more humility we have in our heart, that we really don't know anything, the more ready you're to absorb what is being taught. So surrendering as a disciple is very, very important on the spiritual path, as much as it could be important even in the material realm. So here, Arjuna has expressed his own weakness of not being able to figure out what's the right thing to do. Although he has fought many, many battles before, he didn't have this kind of feeling. He never had a single doubt on what he needs to do. As a matter of fact, he single-handedly defeated Dronacharya, Bhishma in Virat. But yet here suddenly he's overwhelmed with this weakness. And when you know you have really been put into a helpless situation, and that's when you're actually going to seek the Lord. So similarly, Arjuna is seeking refuge in the Lord, and therefore the relationship now changes. From Arjuna ordering Krishna to put the chariot in the middle of the battlefield so he could see who had come there to fight him, to now Arjuna saying, I accept you as my Guru and I'm ready to hear from you. Therefore, this is when the Guru is ready to share their wisdom and knowledge. And therefore, wisdom always flows from Guru to disciple, never the other way around, no matter how qualified the disciple may be. So to surrender is a very important concept if you want to learn something new and if you want to apply it. Definitely in the spiritual field, you need a Guru. So the lesson for us is that life will throw up many, many difficult situations for us. As we said, sometimes it's very complicated to make a decision. And we said one of the reasons is because of our fear. We don't know if we will get the outcome that we desire. And therefore, sometimes we end up not making any decision at all. To solve life's deepest questions, one should seek the shelter of the exalted acharyas. So the answers are there in the scriptures, but somebody has to interpret that for you. So this was Arjuna's surrender. So now we move to the second section, which is Atma Jnana. And it is this Atma Jnana that is the reason why the single word summary for today's chapter is identity. We all have so many different identities. From the time that you were born, then you become a young child, to a teenager, to a middle-aged person, to a married person, to being parents, to being grandparents. We go through so many different ID cards. Your ID card does not say static. You're constantly playing new roles and different roles. Therefore, Krishna has to tell Arjuna what is his real identity. And what's the reason for that? We'll get into that. So here, this is the very first shloka of the Bhagavad Gita. So the Bhagavad Gita begins here in the 11th shloka. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Ashocyan Anvashochastvam Prajna Vadamscha Bhashase Gadasuna Gadasumscha Nanu Shochanti Pandita. Here the Lord is telling Arjuna, hey Arjuna, you are speaking big words. You are actually mourning for what is not worthy of grief. So Krishna is saying, exactly what are you so upset about? What are you mourning for? Nobody has died yet, but you are acting like as if death is something that you've never ever seen. You've witnessed death before. So you've been on battlefields before. So why should you be surprised that if you're on the battlefield, people are going to die? Therefore, Krishna is telling Arjuna, whatever it is that you're mourning for, it's not worth it. And then Krishna says, if you are a wise man, you will not worry about somebody being alive or somebody being dead. Hence, Krishna says, those who are wise lament neither for the living nor for the dead. Now, you have to really understand what Krishna is saying here, because this seems like a very, very harsh statement or an insensitive statement from Krishna. Now, how can Krishna say there is no difference between life and death? To why you are it? So there must be a deeper reason why Krishna is making this particular statement. So, so one by one, you will see here that Krishna is going to tackle all the 4 reasons and the 5th reason given in the 2nd chapter by Arjuna. So remember, Arjuna has given 5 reasons. Does anybody remember what those 5 reasons are? We discussed yesterday. What are those 5 reasons that Arjuna gives?
Passion.
Compassion. Hey, they are my relatives. How do you expect me to kill them with a straight face and not even feel one bit of negativity in me? So one is compassion. Very nice. Second one?
Kula dharma nash.
Huh?
Kul dharma nash. Kula dharma nash.
Destruction of dynasty. Yes. Okay, very good.
Sin.
3rd reason?
Sin.
Sin. Yes. Who's going to pay a price? If you kill somebody, you have to pay a price for it. No? There's karmic reaction for it. Okay. 4th reason?
Varna Shankar and women will go corrupted.
That is the family dynasty being destroyed. Yes. That was already mentioned. There's one more reason mentioned in the 1st chapter. What is that reason? One is compassion, one is sins, one is destruction of family traditions. What's the 4th reason? He says, how can you expect me to enjoy myself, After killing everybody, what is there to enjoy in the kingdom? Even if you give me the 3 material worlds, the 3 kingdoms in the Brahmanda, still I will not be happy. So Arjuna is saying, I can't enjoy. Even if I'm victorious, I will still be sad. And then the 5th reason that Arjuna gives is, I'm really not sure what I'm supposed to do. Is it better for me to be killed, or is it better for them to be killed by me? So here, Krishna is beginning to tackle Arjuna's reluctance, first by chastising Arjuna. So the first thing the Guru does is telling Arjuna, stop talking nonsense. You think you're a great philosopher, actually you know nothing. So the first thing the teacher does is tell the student, you don't know anything. So you have to be ready to listen. So Krishna is setting the stage for Arjuna to listen. So what is the first thing Krishna is telling Arjuna? Dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara tatha dehantara praptihi dhirastatra na muhyati. So here Krishna is telling Arjuna, hey Arjuna, don't you know, have you not noticed this in life? What happens to the soul? The soul is there in the body. The body keeps changing, but the soul has not changed. So as the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. So Krishna is saying, all your life you would have observed this. What is constant? Atma. What is not constant? Dehi. Dehe, the body. So the soul will simply exit one body and enter another body. So why are you so upset about that? So yes, soldiers will die on the battlefield. It's not the end of their life. They'll get a new life. They'll get a new body. Therefore, Krishna is establishing for Arjuna that the real identity of everybody on the battlefield is not that physical body. The real identity is their spirit soul. The spirit soul never dies. So why are you lamenting? Okay, if Dronacharya gets killed, his soul, in this life he is Dronacharya. In next life he is going to be somebody else. His soul is going to go and occupy the next body. So why are you worried? So we all have our own belief systems of the soul. We can compare that to what Krishna is saying here. But what is Krishna trying to tell Arjuna? You are feeling sorry for the body. But the body, you already know it's temporary. So why are you feeling sad that somebody is going to lose their body? Don't you already know that the soul is going to go occupy a new body? Just like when our shirt becomes old or when our outfit becomes old, then we purchase a new one and replace the old one with a new one. Similarly, the soul will just get rid of the old body and get ready to take a new body. So there are two bodies Krishna is talking about here. There is what is called the Sthula Sharira, which is the gross body, and the Sukshma Sharira, which is the subtle body. So the gross body is made of Panchabhutas. Therefore, you see in the slide, it says earth, water, fire, air, and ether. These are the Panchabhutas. What is the subtle body made of? The subtle body is made up of your mind. It is made up of your intelligence, and it is made up of your false ego. So when you die, you have to give up the gross body. But the subtle body is still alive. Oh, I thought you only said the soul is eternal. How come now you're telling me the subtle body is also alive? That's because if the soul has to go and occupy another body, the subtle body travels with the soul and enters the new body. That means your mind, intelligence, and the false ego travels with the soul. So all your vasanas, all your previous experiences, all your habits, all your desires, everything travels with you in the form of what is called a subtle body. So when the soul is ready to achieve moksha or liberation or to go back to the spiritual world, then the soul has to give up both bodies. Only the soul travels. The subtle body is left behind. So if you give up the gross body, it is called death. If you've given up the gross body and the subtle body, you call it liberation. So Krishna is saying, this I thought you already knew. So why are you talking something? How do we know? How can we explain this in a very simple manner? Because we say, this is my hand, my leg, my eyes, my ears, my car, my. Who is this my? Definitely this my is not the body. The my must be the soul. The soul is saying, this is my hand, this is my leg, this is my eyes, or rather your mind is confusing you into believing that the soul needs the hand, leg, eyes, ears, etc. It does not. The soul is completely independent. So similarly, you say, I'm a baby, I'm a boy, I. So this my and I is referencing to the soul. It is not referencing to the body, because all of us have temporary bodies. Therefore, because we have temporary bodies, Krishna is going to say in this chapter, even if there is suffering coming your way, simply tolerate it. Titikshabaha. There is no way we can escape bad times. And certainly, suicide is not something that we should even consider. Right? So we cannot damage our body, because that will put us in very, very difficult situation in the future. Because literally the soul will be suffering without a physical body. So that's much more torture for the soul if one commits suicide. So coming to the third section, where Krishna is going to finally tell us what are the two duties that all of us have. Two broad categories of dharma. So from shlokas 31 to 50, this is what is covered. There are two dharmas. One is called swadharma, the other one is called nitya dharma. What is Krishna saying about swadharma in the 31st shloka? Swadharmam apichávekshya navikampitumārhasi dharmyādhiyuddhāt shreyonyat kshatriyasya na vidyate. Krishna is now teaching Arjuna what is swadharma. Considering your specific duty as a kshatriya, you should note that there is no better engagement for you than fighting on religious principles. And so there is no need for hesitation. So Krishna is telling, hey Arjuna, do you know what your swadharma is? You are a kshatriya. Your swadharma is to fight to establish dharma. Therefore, irrespective of who is there on the other side, even if it is your own family members, you should not hesitate, because that is your first duty. So this Krishna is calling swadharma. What else? There is another dharma called sanatana dharma or nitya dharma. So Krishna is saying you have one more duty. One duty is on the bodily platform, because you are occupying the body of a kshatriya, you are in the post of a king, a prince. There are a set of duties you must follow through with. You don't have a choice. But then there is another set of duty. Krishna is telling Arjuna, karmajam buddhi yuktahi phalam tyaktva manishinaha janma bandha vinirmuktaha padam gacchantyanāmayam. By thus engaging in devotional service to the Lord, great sages or devotees free themselves from the results of work in the material world. In this way, they become free from the cycle of birth and death and attain the state beyond all miseries by going back to Godhead. So what is your nitya dharma? Karmajam buddhi yuktahi phalam tyaktva manishinaha. By thus engaging in devotional service to the Lord, Krishna is saying, I am not telling you this, you also already have proof. Great acharyas, great sages, great bhakts of mine, simply by worshipping me, they got rid of all of the miseries of this material world, which means one duty is you have to protect dharma. Your other duty is you have to try to return to the spiritual world. And how did others do it? Great sages and devotees, what did they do? They engaged themselves in worshipping me. In this way, they freed themselves from the cycle of birth and death. And they went to that stage where there is no misery, which is called Vaikuntha. The word Vai means without, Kuntha means anxiety. That place where there is no more sufferings and no more anxiety is called Vaikuntha. So what are the two duties Krishna has told Arjuna that is important for him to follow? One, the duty based on the body. Arjuna is in the Varna of Kshatriya. Therefore, his duty is to protect Dharma. Arjuna is also a spirit soul. He is not this body. He cannot forget that. Therefore, his second most important duty, or rather we should say the first duty, is that he has to worship God. So when you are suffering in life, it means there is an imbalance between the body and the soul. Why? Why do you think there could be an imbalance between the body and soul that causes you suffering? What is the imbalance here? Okay. There are some questions in the chat which I will come to at the end of the session. Why do you think there is an imbalance? What is the cause of imbalance that makes you experience misery? Yes, Sundar Prabhu.
Goals and how to reach the means to reach it. You will have a goal, but you can't reach it.
What kind of goal? Material goals or spiritual goal? Or both?
For commoner, it is a material goal.
For a commoner, it is material goal. Okay, very good.
We don't have knowledge.
We don't have knowledge. Yes.
Right knowledge.
Yeah, we don't have the kind of knowledge that is necessary for us to eliminate the sufferings. We don't have that knowledge. That's correct.
There will be no acceptance, like we'll hesitate to accept that this is what is happening. Maybe.
So there's no acceptance. So you could say, in other words, can we use the word ignorance?
Yeah, we can use the
word ignorance. Okay, very good. The reason there is an imbalance is because we've focused too much attention on the body and not enough on the soul. This is the primary cause of imbalance in life. Therefore, we're saying we really have to think, what are we doing to ourselves? Why are we ignoring so many things at the cost of creating more and more sufferings for us? So to the last section of today's session, how do you achieve this lasting happiness where life is just full of energy and excitement and happiness? So Krishna is telling us how you can be happy all the time. So what is Krishna saying in the 65th shloka? Prasade sarva dukkhanam hanirasyopajayate prasanna chetaso hyashu buddhif paryavatishthate. For one thus satisfied in Krishna consciousness, the threefold miseries of material existence exist no longer. In such satisfied consciousness, one's intelligence is soon well established. As one of you just rightly said, we lack the intelligence, and the opposite of that is we are ignorant, and that is why we're suffering. If we have the right kind of knowledge to get ourselves out of this suffering, then Krishna is saying, then you're already on the right path. There's nothing for you to worry about. So what are these kleshas, this threefold misery? The word klesha in Sanskrit means poison. Krishna is telling Arjuna, if you really want to be happy all the time and overcome these three kleshas, you have to be practicing what is called Krishna consciousness. What is Krishna consciousness? You have to always be serving Krishna, worshipping Krishna, offering everything to Krishna, chanting his names, reading the Bhagavad Gita. This is called Krishna consciousness. So you can understand why Prabhupada called this institution the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, because Krishna talks about Krishna consciousness throughout the Bhagavad Gita. Specifically in the middle 6 chapters of Bhakti Yoga, Krishna talks about Krishna consciousness. In the sense, your consciousness should be absorbed in the Supreme Lord. What is your consciousness? Consciousness is a symptom of the soul. Consciousness is not a bodily function. It's not on the material realm. Consciousness is spiritual. If the soul exits the body does not have consciousness anymore. That means consciousness goes hand in hand with your spirit soul. So Krishna is saying, focus on your spirit soul. And through this way, you can overcome the three miseries. What are the three miseries? It is called Adhyatmik, Adi Bhautik, and Adi Daivik. Adhyatmik means, Krishna says, we are the reason for our own suffering. How can I be the reason for my own suffering? Baba, I didn't do anything to anybody. But still, I am getting incoming missiles all the way. Missiles in the form of insults, missiles in the form of loss of job, missiles in the form of, unhealthy relationships. How can I be the cause of all of that? I didn't ask for it. No, you are the cause of it because of your own desires. So this Adhyatmik is, because of your own desires, you create multitude of sufferings for yourself. You keep throwing broken piece of glass in front of you, and then when you walk on it and it hurts, you cry about it. But you yourself are creating those broken pieces of glass. The second, Adi Bhautik. Krishna says there are other Jivatmas also that are throwing broken pieces of glasses right in front of your foot. So every time you step on it, it's like, ouch, ouch, ouch. So not only are you creating distress for yourself, other Jivatmas also create distress for you. Therefore, that is called Adi Bhautika Klesha. And finally, Adi Daivik. We're not done. First of all, I am creating my own suffering, and others are not leaving me alone. Now, Devatas are also, either too much rain or not enough rain, too much sun, too much cold, earthquakes, floods, tsunami. Even the Devatas are not leaving us alone. So, Adi Daivik. So, Mother Nature also inflicts so much suffering on us. So, Krishna is saying, if you focus on the soul and you practice Krishna consciousness, then you can overcome these three sufferings. What you cause yourself, what is caused to you by others, and what is caused to you by Devatas. So, essentially, Krishna is saying, if you do your duty on the platform of the fact that your soul is permanent, but your body is not, then Krishna is saying you can be happy in this life itself, and next life and every life you can always be happy until you go back to the spiritual world. Therefore, the Atma duty is very, very important. If we abandon this Atma duty, then we're going to experience unhappiness, suffering. So step by step, Krishna is saying you have to do your duty, which is Sanatana Dharma, which is duty based on the fact that you're not this body. Your identity is forever linked to the fact that you are an eternal soul, your Atma. Therefore, this entire chapter is about Atma Jnana. And hence, the word identity is the right single word summary for this chapter. Because your identity is not based on this body. Today, I may be occupying the body of a woman. Tomorrow, when I take birth again, maybe I will be in the body of a butterfly. I do not know. Or a cockroach. We don't know what body we're going to get next. The body keeps changing, but the soul is the same. Therefore, since the soul is eternal, your Sanatana Dharma or Nitya Dharma becomes far more important for you to practice in life if you want to be happy all the time. So in the first chapter, Arjuna is confused. In the second chapter, Krishna is saying, if you learn a little bit more about Atma Gyan, you'll be happy. So how do we actually implement this Atma Gyan? I can't see the soul. What duties can the soul have? It's not something that is visible. You can maybe experience it. But what duties can one have on a very, very subtle platform? It's just consciousness. Soul is just consciousness. So, for example, if we study to be a doctor, you are not considered a doctor until you actually are practicing that profession. So similarly, we have read probably just maybe 3 or 4 shlokas in the second chapter, even though the second chapter has 70 plus shlokas. There are many shlokas where Krishna talks about the soul and describes the soul. He describes the features and the qualities of the soul. But simply studying this Atma Gyan is not enough. We have to learn how to implement Atma Gyan in our life to achieve that state of happiness that Krishna is promising us. Just like simply studying MBBS is not important. You also have to be successful in practicing it so that you can be a doctor. You are not considered a doctor until you are actually practicing what you have learned. Therefore, this Atma Jnana has to be practiced. How do you practice this Atma Jnana so that you can be happy? So if this Atma Jnana is more important, then why is the Atma itself suffering by occupying this body? So to understand this, we have to go to the third chapter. And the third chapter is called Karma Yoga. Because the Atma is inside a body, the body has to act. If I want to eat, I have to work. If I want a roof over my head, I have to do something to keep myself safe. If I want to procreate, I have to get married. To have children. So while the bodily duties are being performed, how can you actually focus on the Atma? And if Atma is more important, why is Atma undergoing so much suffering? So for that, you have to understand what is karma. And karma here means your duties and responsibilities. So that will pick up tomorrow in chapter 3, which is called Karmika. Now, I will end with a small analogy and then we can open up for questions. When you look at the body and the soul, if you can imagine a picture of a bird cage with a bird inside it, and you see somebody just polishing the cage and shining it up and making it look really good, but they don't pay attention to the bird inside the cage. They don't feed the cage, but they keep the cage clean, shiny, always attractive, always beautiful. But inside, that bird is not being fed, and slowly that bird is going to die. Or at least it's going to be very miserable. So it is like that. We are feeding and polishing and taking care of this body so nicely every single day. But we keep taking care of the external body, but we're not paying attention to the bird within, which is our soul. Then definitely the soul is going to experience suffering. So we have to learn to feed the bird in the cage, and similarly, we have to learn to feed the Atma. What is the food for that Atma that would make that Atma very, very happy? Well, to discover that, we have to look at the future chapters, beginning with what is Karma Yoga. Okay, so we'll stop here. Thank you very much for joining me. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to take it. You can certainly unmute yourself. I do see some questions in the chat. Let me try to get to the questions. A Takshaka is a snake bird. Yeah, it's a snake bird. Drupada is arrogant. Definitely is arrogant. For sure. If everything If everything that we have experienced travels with us, why don't we have a memory of that? Well, Krishna says in the 15th chapter that knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness comes from him. Whatever Krishna wants you to remember, that will be helpful for your next life. He will help you remember that. For example, a baby never needs to be taught how to feed and get milk from the mother's breast. How did that come? It comes because Krishna has embedded that knowledge in you, into your next life. There are so many things like this. The baby on its own tries to crawl, tries to sit up, tries to walk. Where did that knowledge come from? It is hard-coded in you. So there are a lot of things that Krishna helps you remember from one life to another. Similarly, there are a lot of things that Krishna will help you forget, because if you were to remember every crappy little thing that you did in your last life or the previous life, you'll never even get up out of bed and do anything positive. So there are reasons why Krishna allows you to remember certain things, and also at the same time makes you forget certain things so that you can have a fresh start. So the memory is embedded there, but you may not be able to tap into that. Yeah. Okay, very nice question. Thank you. Any other questions? Yes, Kajal.
Um,
No question?
Is it true that when time comes, then only you get the true knowledge and bhakti?
When time comes. Yeah, now is the
When
right time.
Because when we get sufferings all our life, some get the true knowledge and bhakti, and some get into the trap and then suffer all their life.
Mm. It's actually very easy to come to bhakti when you're suffering. Did Kunti Devi suffer a lot? What do you think?
Yes,
Yes.
Okay. Did Prahlad Maharaj suffer a lot?
yes.
Yes.
So when you suffer, it's easy to worship the Lord, take his shelter, ask for help.
But
So
everyone
suffering,
does not seek help from God. They just
that's
suffer.
true.
Everyone is suffering, but
Yes,
some of them get bhakti.
that's
That
correct.
means is that it is that time that they have they get bhakti, and some of them their time has not arrived. Is that true?
You're right. I mean, what you're saying is, why are some people lucky enough to practice bhakti and others are not? And you will get that answer from Srimad Bhagavatam. Actually, it's the causeless mercy of the Lord. The Lord himself is calling out to you. And therefore, the Lord will put, different individuals in your life to bring you closer towards him. So in that way, we call this the causeless mercy of the Lord. Remember in yesterday's chapter, we said the Lord is Bhakta Vatsala. The Lord was always ready to help Arjuna, but Arjuna had to ask for help.
Whatever you said,
Mhm.
I have experienced this in my life recently.
Mhm.
Exact same.
Yeah.
And then I came into Krishna Bhakti. Uh,
Yes.
I was not bhakt of Krishna ji. I was into Shivji. And
Yes.
then after my father died, I lived bhakti and puja and everything. And then I suffered a lot mentally, emotionally, and physically with diseases and all that. Then that Krishna ji came into my life, and now I'm so much happy.
Yes. So that's why I said suffering is not always a bad thing. In hindsight, when you look back at it, you realize it's that suffering that caused you to reach out to Krishna. So at the time that you're suffering, you may not think like that, but when you look back, you think, yeah, that was the one reason why I came closer to Krishna. And therefore, you consider it the causeless mercy of God. Okay. There's a question here that says, what do we seek for at this stage? For a subtle body with divine qualities to take forward, or for no subtle body at all? Okay, it's an interesting question you're asking. So your question is, what is our goal in life? Do we want to continue to carry this mind, intelligence, and false ego into another body? Or do we want to give up this mind, intelligence, and false ego and go back to Krishna? Well, the answer is clear. Our goal in life is to go back to Krishna. Yes, definitely a subtle body with divine qualities will put you closer to Krishna.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's nice. Yeah, thank you for asking that question.
Thank you.
Okay, but if bhakti comes only when suffering, why aren't humans capable of bhakti after the suffering ends? Again, a very nice question. So the question is, if bhakti is easy to do when you're suffering, then why everybody is not doing bhakti? I think that's the question. Because if everybody does bhakti, suffering will end. There'll be no more suffering, which is also true. Why do they not perform bhakti? One is because they don't have the knowledge that they can overcome the suffering by performing bhakti. Two is that they have their own desires. They don't think anybody can help them. Or even if they seek help, they're seeking help from the wrong places. If they go to the right person or the right personality for help, they will get all the answers that they need and all of the medicine that they need for their current suffering. So one is your own desire that causes you not to reach out to Krishna. And two is your lack of knowledge that Krishna can cure all of your miseries. So two reasons why everybody does not take to bhakti when they're suffering. Because they think I can cure my own, it's like there's a saying, no? Doctor, heal thyself. So it's like sometimes some of the souls are saying, I'll take care of this myself. I don't need your help, Krishna. Leave me alone. I'll do my best to figure this out on my own. Whereas someone who is really suffering, they say, wait a minute, like Arjuna, they'll say, I'm helpless, you please help me. That's what Arjuna is saying. I am helpless, you have to guide me. Krishna likes that. Krishna likes it when you helplessly go to him and say, look, I can't do this anymore. You have to step in and help me. I'll do whatever you want. So that's the mood of a devotee. But some jivatmas are like, no, I don't want to disturb you. I'll do it myself. So it takes them longer to come to Krishna. Yeah. So you could look at it that way. Yes, thank you for some nice questions. Any other questions on today's chapter?
Excuse me, ma'am. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Like what we have learned is life is eternal. Now the soul is same, but body keeps changing from one source to another.
Yes.
Like what I have read or what I have, I don't know, I may be wrong. Like human being is the last stage of a thing, or you can go back to even a different animal stage, a plant stage from a human also, or is it like you've crossed all and then you reach the human stage?
Oh no, you can cycle back to lower species of life.
Okay. So based on your karma and your actions.
Yes.
Okay.
But definitely you got it right when you said, Sanjani, that human form of life is a very precious, so we should not waste it and not risk becoming an animal again. But yes, there are many examples of great personalities being cursed. Can you think of one? Somebody who was in human form and got cursed and took another
Gajendra
Gajendra.
Moksha.
Some more examples. Bharat and Jada Bharat, yes, Bharat becomes a deer. One more example.
Kubera's sons turn into trees.
Mriga.
Ah, yes. Nalakuvara and Manigriva. They became trees in Nanda Maharaj's courtyard. Yes, somebody said something else?
Nriga.
Mriga? Nriga, yes. So there are so many examples. So there's no guarantee that once you reach human form, you will never go back to animal form. It depends on your karma. Okay? So
Thank you, ma'am. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Where can I find Krishna? Krishna is there within you as Paramatma. Krishna is there within everybody else as Paramatma. In the 5th chapter, Krishna says, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini Shuni Chaiva Shvapakecha Pandita Samadarshina. It is a Pandita. You have to reach that stage of Pandita to recognize that Krishna is within you and Krishna is within everybody else. Krishna is there. But you have to develop the eyes to see him. Yeah.
He answers our prayers, ma'am.
He answers our prayers, yes. So there's a question, why God is not punishing people who are doing bad deeds? Now, to you, it may seem like God is not punishing them. Because you see them, they're doing bad deeds and they're not being punished neither by the law of the state or the country, nor by God's law, they are being punished. But I was just listening to a lecture today, and the Bhagavatam says, there are 13 witnesses to everything that you do on a daily basis. Does anybody know? Can you give me examples of some witnesses?
Chitragupta.
Chitragupta is one. But what are the other witnesses, the initial set of witnesses? Just some examples.
Panchabhuta.
Huh?
Panchabhuta.
Panchabhutas. No. Surya Dev is a witness. At night time, the moon is the witness. The wind is the witness. The Dikpals are witness. If all else goes wrong and they are not able to capture what all your nonsense that you did, including what all good you did, by the way. So there are two sides of the books, you know. The asset side and the debits, the credit side and the debit side. There are 13 witnesses to everything that you do, so you can't hide. Outside of that, there is then Chitragupta. If he doesn't capture it well, then there is Yamaraj. If neither Chitragupta nor Yamaraj can do their job properly, then Krishna as Paramatma within you has captured everything that you've done, both good and bad. So you cannot escape. So even if people, to you, it may seem that they are not suffering. They are doing so many bad things. They are not getting arrested. They are not being punished. No, punishment will come. Don't worry. It's just that you are not seeing it happen in front of your eyes. Therefore, to you, it seems like, well, I don't know, this is like delayed justice, you know, why Krishna's, you know, immediately Krishna should come and chop off their head or something if somebody does a bad deed. No, there are so many different, actually, if you come to the 4th chapter, Krishna will say karma is a very difficult topic to understand. Krishna himself will say, Krishna will tell us that even the most intelligent are bewildered by the concept of how karma works. So, what to say of us ordinary people? Yeah. So the final witness is Krishna as Paramatma within you. So no bad deed will go unpunished. Maybe it will not get punished in this lifetime, but it will get punished certainly in the future. So after the war ended, Dhritarashtra asks Krishna, what did I do wrong that I lost 100 sons? All my sons were killed. Certainly I could not have done something so horrible that a father has to lose 100 sons. What did Krishna say in response to that? Question asked by Dhritarashtra. Does anybody know the answer? Dhritarashtra asked this question. What karma I did that I had to lose 100 sons?
He supported adharma.
Huh?
He supported adharma.
He supported adharma.
He was blind from within. The soul was blind.
Yeah, he was blind from the...
Blinded.
Yes. But Krishna goes into his past life. Does anybody know what Krishna tells Dhritarashtra? He killed 100 birds in his previous life. And he blinded them. Imagine for killing 100 birds, your punishment is to lose 100 sons. And so Dhritarashtra said, when did I do that? Krishna said some 50 lifetimes ago. Then Dhritarashtra asked, oh, why are you waiting for 50 lifetimes to punish me? Why did you punish me right then and there? So Krishna said, you killed 100 birds. For you to have 100 sons, you first had to do so much pious activity to gain 100 sons and then experience the punishment. So karma is not an easy topic to understand. So essentially Krishna told Dhritarashtra, 50 lifetimes ago you killed some 100 birds. You blinded the mother. 50 lifetimes later you got the punishment for it. But to get that punishment, you first had to do some pious deeds, because to have 100 sons, you should have done a lot of pious activity. So Dhritarashtra had to accumulate pious activity, get those 100 sons, and then face the punishment. So we can never say that those people who are committing wrong will not get punished. Maybe they'll not get punished in this, but we don't know what suffering Krishna has in store for them unless they ask for forgiveness and become his devotee. If you become Krishna's devotee, Krishna can change even your prarabdha karma. Your current suffering also Krishna can change. Only Krishna can do that. Nobody else can do it. Because he's the Supreme Lord. If the president of the country wants to forgive somebody and release them from a death sentence, then he has the authority to do it. But only the president has the authority. The prime minister does not have the authority. So Krishna is the only personality that can change your karma. Well, if he's done there's a question. If he's done 50 lifetimes of pious activities, then shouldn't he be going back to Godhead? No, pious activities does not take you back to God. Pious activities takes you to the heavenly planets where you can enjoy yourself for a very long time. So there's a difference between doing pious activities and doing spiritual activities. They are two different things. Okay, if people are doing wrong to you, it may be because of your karma from your previous life. Yes. Won't that be adding bad karma on their end in this life? Well, somebody else may be performing bad karma, but you may be experiencing the result of something that you did in the past. Certainly. Yeah, so it's a very complicated topic, karma.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
How do we get to know that what we did in the previous life? What were the karmas which performed in the previous life? Is there any possibilities?
How do you know what you did in your previous life, you mean?
Yes, yes.
Okay, that only Krishna knows. If you're saying, can astrology tell you what all you did? Maybe to a very, 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 very minute extent. If they are really good astrologers, then maybe they can tell you what you were in your previous life. But what all you did in your previous life, certainly no human being can tell you. So there's no way to find the answer to that in reality. Do we have a forum where we can discuss these things with in-depth conversations and examples? Yes. When you come to the next stage, after the 18 sessions are done, you'll come to level 2. There will be a forum there where you can have all these discussions. So I hope you will join us and stay with us till then. Sumana, thank you. Okay. All right. So we will stop here. We will see you tomorrow for Karma. Vancha kalpadarubhyascha kripasindubhi evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrindi ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Gurudev ki jai, Shri Shri Gaura Nitai ki jai. Thank you very much. We will see you tomorrow. Hare Bol, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.